A variant-proof vaccine, the quest for.
That's the dream. This is now the moonshot, they're calling it in a way. In the US are all over this. Can we make a vaccine that will work against any variant of COVID-19 and indeed any in animals that might jump again in the next pandemic than they're thinking of there, you know? And there's a massive effort in the US happening at the moment, try and make what's called a universal vaccine. And it's a great goal to have, isn't it, in many ways?
Yeah. Now, you have the little virus and then you have this spike protein. So explain to me what the challenge is, because obviously things change every time they divide. You may get another variant.
You may, and Omicron has a huge number of changes in the spike. It's evolved, if you will, to have all these different changes, and of course that can dodge the immune system because the antibodies are to the spike. So Omicron has this massive variety of changes basically, and then you see increased infections with Omicron as a result, you know. But the question is, can you find a piece of the spike that doesn't change? And lo and behold, a place called the RBD, or receptor binding domain, it's common to all coronaviruses, and now that's the one they're focusing in a very clever way, and the lead candidates are against this, it's called a conserved part against all coronaviruses. And what they've done is they've compared the RBD in all the current coronaviruses in humans, SARS and MERS and SARS-CoV-2, and several bat ones as well, by the way, that are yet to jump, this RBD is conserved. So again, they've taken that RBD part now, so that's the thing to focus on. Other vaccines, Pfizer will have a vaccine that has part of the RBD in it, but other bits as well based. Yeah. If you just take the RBD, that's where the hope lies, that you might get the universal vaccine.
So various people are working on this, but the US Defence Forces
Can you believe it?
On.
Yeah, I know, very clever. The US Army, people don't realise, but have a massive research institute. It's called the Walter Reed, and I've been there a couple of times. It's a huge research institute for studying diseases that afflict soldiers and various things. They've been making vaccines for a long time, and they published a paper saying they may have the universal vaccine. It's incredible. But they've taken the RBD, that bit again that's conserved, and they've stuck it on, I think, on a nanoparticle, a tiny particle, made of a thing called ferritin, studied with all these RBDs, right? Loads of RBDs basically, went into monkeys, and amazingly it protects against SARS, the original virus, SARS-CoV-2, Alpha, Beta, Delta, Omicron, right?
MERS?
All of them, yeah, protected against all of those in monkeys. Now, again, that's a tremendous result. They're in the middle of a phase 1 trial in humans. They're saying any day now, actually, we'll have this, a bit like it was when the vaccines were first out. We're going to get the data from that phase 1 trial soon. That's very, very hopeful, Pat, that US Army-derived vaccine could well be the first universal vaccine against COVID-19. What they're also predicting is remarkable. 5 years protection. Imagine that. So what you have now is a single shot, or the 2 shots rather. 5 years protection is the dream. And what I like, Pat, is this is the goal now. They've clearly identified what the goal of vaccination is to give 5 years protection from one course of a vaccine against any coronavirus. That's the mission.
Now, what that means, if you can vaccinate globally, and you wonder what the attitude of the anti-vaxxers will be if suddenly you won't catch anything for 5 years. But if you globally vaccinated with a 5-year vaccine, this thing would die out. Because where would it go? Where would it lie? Where would it lie and wait for us?
That's the second part of the dream, but in some ways. So smallpox was eliminated completely, remember, with vaccination. So was polio's almost gone through vaccination. There's such activity around this, you can even be more optimistic and say eventually we'll kill this virus off entirely. Wouldn't that be the ultimate dream in a way? And then very importantly, remember, there are hundreds of coronaviruses in bats. What's the chance of one of them jumping into us? Now, that would be a terrifying prospect. Back to square one, then SARS-CoV-3, say, comes along. Yeah. These universal vaccines are being made to protect against any pandemic in the future. So you never know. Again, we might be overly optimistic, but the ultimate goal is to get rid of all coronaviruses that afflict humans, really.
Could this universal vaccine finally kill off the common cold?
It could, yeah. Well, 1 in 5 colds are caused by coronaviruses, first of all.
So what are the other 4?
They call adeno, a different family. They call adenoviruses, separate family entirely. They can still cause the same symptoms. So 1 in 5 are caused by coronaviruses.
So the common cold will not die even if we come up with this universal vaccine.
1 in 5 will die, but 4 in 5 will still be there.